mythology dies, because it doesn't all stand and fall on Patterson's film. However, the gentleman you're talking about, and I know who you're talking about. I'm trying to look him up here online while I'm talking to you. Was one of several people over the years that came forward with this announcement.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back all the way back to the '60s. There were people who had said this. Let's see if I can see this guy's name on here. Bob Hieronymus.
That's it. Didn't he work for Coca-Cola or something?
I don't know if it has that information here.
Yeah, Bob
But
Hieronymus.
if you look at Hieronymus, well, Hieronymus made a lot of money off of this claim. He was on a lot of talk shows. He was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And there was other people. There was a guy back in 2002 named Philip Morris of Morris Costumes who claimed to make a gorilla suit. So there's been other people over the years who have all come forward and said, I was the guy. Ray Wallace is another guy who said he was involved in it. So the question is, if there's a murder and 6 people who don't know each other step forward and all claim to have been the killer, what do you do with that?
Well, you arrest them. You arrest them all, and what you do is,
and none of their stories hold up.
And if none of their stories hold up, you release them.
Well, that's the thing. If Hieronymus makes claims about being the Bigfoot guy, but he can never back up any of this. He can't demonstrate. He doesn't have the costume. He doesn't know what happened to it. He didn't get paid.
Yeah.
He goes on and on about all these reasons that he can't prove any of this. He also changed his story several times. One time he said it was this. He said it was made out of this. It was out of horse hair.
Mm-hmm.
One time he said it was artificial hair. In other words, he was all over the place, changing his story over the tellings. So, if you look at the film from a purely objective scientific basis, with taking out whether you believe it or not, and just study it frame by frame, the movement of the creature or the guy in the film is really extraordinary in how it moves. It's something that, I've seen plenty of footage of people in a suit trying to look like Bigfoot. And I have never seen anyone come close to matching that gait. Not to mention just the size of the person. Finding someone 6.5, 7 feet tall who can get away with wearing this suit. But just to have them move that way, and the way the mechanics work. And I take a lot of my advice from Jeff Meldrum, the cryptozoologist, University of Idaho, who believes that is an authentic footage. And this guy knows his anatomical mechanics.
Yes, but there are also many
like
experts, Jeff, who don't believe it, or who don't give the same credibility to the film that Jeff does.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who, in the scientific community, who tend to sort of ignore it or just assume it's a fake. If you work from the premise that there's no Bigfoot, then it has to be a hoax. There's no other alternative. So it's easy then to just dismiss it and not look at it seriously. How many scientists are really looking at it seriously, objectively? And that's my question. There's primatologists out there who are very open to this idea. Jane Goodall, for example, has come out saying she would not be at all surprised if there was an unknown primate still out there. She's very open to the idea of it. So I think it's still up in the air. I really do.
But what do you say when people who claim to see UFOs are saying that Bigfoot comes out of a UFO, or there's a Bigfoot UFO connection? Where does that put the credibility of not only the Patterson film, but of that of an established scientist like Jane Goodall?
Well, you have to look at, sift through the wheat from the chaff, they say in the Bible. You're going to get a lot. This kind of stuff, whether it's UFOs or Bigfoot or any of this stuff, brings people out of the woodwork who have fantasy-prone personalities, who are looking to make a name for themselves, and who are just having fun with it. There's, you look at YouTube. How many fake Bigfoot videos are on there? Just scores and scores of them. And I think there are people out there who just like to have fun with it, and they'll make the most extraordinary claims. Now, does that mean that the whole thing is wrong? I don't know. You have to just kind of sift through that stuff and use your BS detector, put it on high.
Yeah.
And just work your way through it. Establish a Bigfoot first, and then you can talk about the UFO connection later if you can prove that too. But you have to have one before you can have the other.
Jeff Danelek is our special guest this hour. His new book is available, Friend of God, The Passion of Judas Iscariot. His website is www.ourcuriousworld.com. And Jeff and I will be back on the other side of this news break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget, X-Zone Nation, if you'd like to send an email, X-Zone at X-Zone Radio TV on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our main website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Jeff Allan Danelek is my special guest, a good friend of the X-Zone. He joins us once a month, and we're going to be discussing a variety of topics when Jeff is with us. But I'd just like to remind everyone that he has a great new book out. It's entitled Friend of God, The Passion of Judas Iscariot. And for more information, visit Jeff's website where you can look at all the other books that he has written, as well as order them at www.ourcuriousworld.com. Hey Jeff, you've been writing about Bigfoot. Why aren't they called Big Feet? They have two of them.
Yeah, you asked me that once before. Because they usually only find one print.
Nice.
Usually don't find sets of them.
Now,
so
isn't that
rather than Big Feet?
Isn't that strange that they only find one print?
Rob, you're breaking up on me here. I'm losing you.
I was saying, isn't that strange that they only find one print? Jeff, are you there?
Well, not really. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, okay. You're still breaking up, but not really, because over the forest floor, it's very uneven. It's not the same kind of material you're walking on. So you might have one foot in soft ground and one foot on a hard surface. So even animals, when they go through the forest, often don't leave a lot of prints, maybe just a few here and there where the conditions are just right.
Here's a question for you. There have been the Yeti over in Asia that are supposed to be related to the Bigfoot over here. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's the theory.
Okay. We have found dinosaur bones. We have found fossils of prehistoric creatures. We have found remains of Cro-Magnon man, Neanderthal man. How come, if Bigfoot is real, nobody has found the remains or the skeletal remains of a Bigfoot?
Well, that's a good question. I would say there's a couple of different possibilities.
Okay.
One is that they're advanced enough that maybe they bury their dead. Maybe they're cannibalize their dead. It's also possible that we just haven't lucked out yet. I mean, stuff in the forest decays very quickly. It has a very short shelf life, if you say. Even human bodies left in the forest are often very little left of them within a few months. So it's just a place that's going to be, a body's going to be torn apart by scavengers, things like that. If you came across something, you would be extraordinarily fortunate. But it also got to remember there is paleontological evidence for Bigfoot. 12,000 years ago, there was a creature named Gigantopithecus, which was a huge ape, 10 feet tall, lived in Asia. And they have found fossils of that, just as they have Neanderthals.
Really?
But we just haven't found the smoking gun yet, and we may never. We might actually find video footage before we ever find an actual body. I think that's just the nature of the forest.
And yet, there have been scientific expeditions looking for the Loch Ness Monster. Has there been any scientific... Go on.
Yeah, okay. I'm not catching you. You're breaking up here.
All right. Jeff, what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect, and we're going to try and call you right back. Maybe we'll get a better line. How's that?
That sounds good. I'll hang up.
Okay. Exonation, we're going to try and reconnect with Jeff Allan Danelek. We're going to take a commercial break here, and we'll be right back. Don't go away. All right, Exonation, we've been able to reconnect with Jeff Allan Danelek. His website is www.ourcuriousworld.com. And Jeff, before we had our little bit of a technical glitch there, maybe it was Bigfoot knocking down the telephone poles because he didn't like what he was hearing. You were saying that they found evidence of this giant ape. Now, was the evidence found only in Asia, or has there been evidence found here in America as well?
As far as I know, the fossil evidence was found in Asia, but it goes back to the time before the Bering Straits were iced over, where you could travel from Asia into North America, which leads people to assume that if humans could cross there, then so could large primates if they were so inclined to do so. Which I find interesting, especially, is that remember that human beings have been on this planet for a couple of 100,000 years.
Yeah.
And throughout almost that entire history, they've existed side by side with very large primates. Those have always been part of our history. And this is the only time in human history where we're not kind of competing against a giant primate. So I think that's interesting that they suddenly just vanished like that when they had been around for literally millions of years.
I was also saying, Jeff, that there have been scientific expeditions into finding the Loch Ness Monster. Has there been scientific investigations or scientific research or parascience research into looking for Bigfoot? Like you think with all the technology that we have available to us today, satellite imagery, satellite infrared, night vision, and so on, that looking for Bigfoot or a creature as big as Bigfoot, even in the most densest of forests in North America, that we'd be able to, with some ease, detect this creature.
Well, that's always been an interesting question as to why people are having so much trouble using this technology. And the best answer I can think of is that we treat this creature like an animal, but we should be treating it like a person. This thing is smart. It knows when you're coming. It can tell you're coming. It probably knows you're in the forest long before you know it's there. And I think it perceives technology. It understands that that a camera is something that's dangerous to it, and it would probably just stay away from areas that humans were noticed to be working in. And so, if you catch one, it's going to be extraordinarily fortunate, or it's fairly aggressive. It's coming close to see who you are, and those opportunities come very few and far between. There are people who spend literally years in the woods looking for these things and never really get close to them at all. And that's because that's what they want. They don't want you in their territory, and they just leave when you are.
What is your opinion on the hypothesis that is passed on by certain researchers in the Bigfoot camp that Bigfoot is an interdimensional traveler?
I think it's unnecessarily complicating it. This is an unknown creature. I think that's extraordinary in and of itself to have a large primate living under our very noses in 21st century planet.
Yeah.
To turn it into an interdimensional creature or some alien from outer space or something is just confusing the issue and taking it away from the realm of science and into the realm of fantasy. You don't even know if there's such a thing as an interdimensional creature. and then you're already trying to say that that's what this is. I mean, you're just actually